So we're going to give this a whirl. This is going to be my first episode of talking to myself in my new fancy home studio. It's assuming that it works, because I'm not sure that it does.
It's a podcast, just a bit of a contrast from what I'm used to. I usually have to talk fast, cause there's 4 people sharing the mic, but this is just me, so I say whatever I like. It might be serious, sometimes it might be funny, sometimes you'll scratch your head and say Brian is such a dummy, but it's just me. I ain't got no help. This is Brian Grimes, and I'm talking to myself.
It is Brian Grimes. It is my podcast, and I am talking to myself for the first time ever in my brand new fancy home studio, which is just about all the way done. It's not quite done yet, so it's kind of weird because right now I'm shooting video at the same time, which will be on my YouTube channel at The Brian Grimes on YouTube at some point. Well, not at, that's for social media, it's just YouTube, The Brian Grimes. So I'm shooting video for that, hoping that it works. Also recording for the first time on my fancy new setup. You know what? I have a little webcam going on. I wonder if I might have it wired. I strapped wires like super tight because I didn't want anything hanging anywhere. My wife is, pretty big on the aesthetics of things, so I had to make sure that it looked nice. But I don't know if this camera is so tight that I can't do like a quick little look around the studio. So yeah. So look around the fancy studio. Ooh. It's gonna be upside down, but that's my TV. Ooh, fancy stuff. Yeah. All right. So now that you're like Blair Witch dizzy. So anyway, now I can do podcasts whenever I want. And there will be one coming up this Friday, hopefully, that we're gonna record. With my wife on it, finally. We've talked about it a bunch of times, said we're going to do it, never got around to doing it, but we talked about it while we were on vacation, and now that we have the home set up, we are good to go. We didn't get to drive to the studio to do it, so we're cool, and so I think we're going to do that. So if there is anything that you think specifically we should talk about, because my wife asked me, so do we need like topics for this, which I thought was cool. I was like, nah, I don't think you need topics per se. I'm going to get real comfortable here, so I might actually take myself away from the microphone. I'm like, I don't think you're going to need topics per se. Like, it's not going to be like we do on the morning show where we all throw out topics. I think we're just going to kind of talk, But if there's anything specific you'd like us to talk about, any of our social media would be good. I'm at The Brian Grimes. I think she's at Jen Grimes _realtor or something like that. I know her social media, but I don't type it because it's just always there because we tag each other and everything. So that will be interesting, and we'll see how that goes on Friday. I think we're going to do some sort of like Instagram live while we're doing that. So there'll be like a live video type thing going on where people are talking to us while we're recording it. So it'll be partially live then, but then it'll live all the time on the podcast, if that makes any sense. If it does not make any sense, then I apologize, because it makes sense in my head, but I'm not sure that it makes sense in real life. So anyway, just back from vacation. We are on vacation from the show. I do appreciate you guys missing us. I do. But we do have to have some time off every now and then. Even if we didn't want it, we're required to take it. We don't get the money back if we don't take the time off. It doesn't like wrap up or roll in and like save it for later type thing. Our sick time does, but I think that even stopped rolling for me because I never call in sick. So I have like literally 6 months worth of sick time saved up. And they just stop accumulating it because, why? I could take 6 months off sick, which if I had some wood in here to knock on, I'd do it. With this coronavirus, you might need 6 months off sick. But like, you don't get that if you quit. Like, you don't get your paid out sick time. So it does you really no good to accumulate it. What they don't let roll over is vacation time. So we got to take it. So we took it, and we took it less than usual. A lot of times we take 2 weeks back to back. And I know a lot of people are freaking out right now, but we're only taking 1 week off. Imagine if we were taking the full 2 weeks off. Then you guys will really be freaking out. Now, you can save it with the Where's the Podcast stuff. Some of you think it's funny. I don't do the podcast anymore, thankfully. I passed that on to Detroit, who does the podcast now, and she does a bang-up job of it. But there is no podcast this week because there's no show to podcast this week because, well, it's best of, and Detroit is handling that. So we'll be back on Monday. Anyway, so we'll talk to my wife on Friday, and we'll be back on the air on Monday. And if you're hearing this after all of that, then it really makes no sense to you. I've been talking for a long time about doing this 23andMe thing. Look, I don't know a whole lot about myself per se. Like, I know about myself, but I don't know about like where I came from, honestly. I always tell you guys that my dad left when I was like 5. So without going into the long drawn out version of my dad left when I was 5, they got my mom and my dad, my biological dad, got divorced when I was 5. The first 5 years, pretty rough, pretty turbulent. Let's just leave it at that. I did continue to see my dad for a while after that. I mean, I was 5. I didn't really know any better other than, hey, you're going over to see your dad, who for a long time lived with my grandmother. And I loved my grandmother. We called her Nanny. She was awesome. Every time I went over there, she bought me a Transformer or a Star Wars action figure. I loved it. She lived in a little trailer in Hacienda Village, and I think it's Winter Springs. I don't remember, but it was fun. I enjoyed going to her house. But I did go see my dad for a while after that, until I didn't have to anymore. When I officially didn't have to anymore, because by then I started to kind of grasp what was going on. I synced the bigger picture. I understood what bouncing a $37.50 child support check meant. I didn't know that when I was 5, but I figured it out pretty quick when we flipped the switch and the lights didn't come on. And my mom had 3 jobs. Anyway, so I don't really know a lot about that side of the family, unfortunately. My grandfather on that side passed away before I was born. Like I said, my grandmother was awesome, but I was so young, I didn't really know much from her. I didn't learn much from her. And so I don't really know about that side very much. I know I have an uncle, and I know he has some kids, but that's it. And I don't have anybody that I can really ask. My biological father passed away a couple years ago, like Tupac. He passed away and I didn't cry. So I don't know who to find out these things from as far as my father's side of things go. Now, my mom's side, I know a little bit more, but still not a ton. We don't have a huge family. We did, and I feel like it just kind of fell apart, and then we didn't have it anymore. But like, I have an aunt and uncle that I'm close with. But of course, my grandparents have passed away. I had a great grandmother when I was like 2nd grade, as far back as I can remember. But like, again, 2nd grade, who do you ask about like where we come from? So I don't really know. I know the area. I know some kind of loose stories. I've filled in some blanks, but that's it. I got nobody to ask. I don't know where I come from. I don't know what I'm made up of. I got no idea. So I went and I was actually, I think it was like New Year's Eve, maybe it was New Year's Eve. We spent the night at a friend's house, and I was just scrolling through. It was like 2 years ago. Scrolling through, I probably Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And 2 things happened. I saw a great deal on a cruise, which I bought at that point and booked a cruise for my wife and I. And then I saw a great deal on 23andMe. This welcome to you, 23andMe. So I got a great deal on it. I ordered it, and then I got scared to do it because so I ordered it and I was going to do it and I was ready to hype to do it. But then I saw a news story that they were taking your 23andMe results and then kind of selling your medical history, like your family history. And then it was like screwing up your life insurance policies. And I'm like, well, I don't want to screw up my life insurance policy because if something happens to me, that's how, my wife and my son are going to go forward. So I was afraid to do it because I don't want them to sell my information and screw up my life insurance policy. And then I started thinking, well, if they're doing that, maybe they're keeping it and they're going to like build a clone army or something like that. I mean, I've seen Star Wars Attack of the Clones. I know how this works. All you need is one person to build a clone army of, and who better to build a clone army of than me? So I thought to myself, well, A, they're going to screw up my medical benefits, my life insurance benefits, and B, they're going to build a clone army of me. And I didn't want that, so I didn't take it. But I need to do this. So I'm going to, I think, today, this is the saliva collection kit that I am holding in my hands right now. And it's pretty simple. It says register your kit online. Haven't done that. And that's step 1. Step 2 is spit. Well, I could do that. That's easy. It says follow the kit instructions and spit into a tube. Mail it back to the lab. And then step 3 is discover. It's pretty simple. Register, spit, discover. It says it right here. Register, spit, discover. So I'm going to do that. Then I'm going to register, I'm going to spit, and I'm going to discover. And then I'll let you know how it goes. So that is what I am going to find out about myself. I've done some research. I mean, again, I have nobody to ask. So I did that ancestry thing, and it gives you like people that you might know or whatever. But like you have to fill in information. Like if I needed, or if I knew the information that I needed to fill in, then I wouldn't be on your stupid website filling in this stuff. And then they want you to pay for it. But I'm like, pay for what? I didn't know anyone's information. Like I can't go back any further than like grandparents. And on one side, I can only go with one grandparent because I don't even know anything about the other one. So I can't fill in your stupid blanks. Again, if I didn't need to fill in the blanks, if I knew the information, I wouldn't be on your website to begin with. I thought I could just type in my stuff and then bam, magic, you tell me who I came from. That's not how it works. Hopefully with 23andMe, that's how it works. I did find that there is a plantation called Grimesland, I believe in North Carolina, and the dude who ran it was named Brian Grimes. Uh-oh. Interesting, right? So I did a little more reading on that person. Not sure if I'm related to him. I know the house has been kind of repurchased and remodeled, and it looks like they brought it up to where it looks like they restored it. That's the word I was looking for. And my first thought was, hell, plantation owner, great, what a jackass. But then I did some more reading, and he was actually assassinated for kind of flipping on the South, and he, I guess, fled up north and then came back down. And when he came back down, somebody was waiting on him because of, what he was doing to kind of flip on the South back in the day, and they assassinated him. So I'm like, all right, this guy might not be so bad. Sure, he was a plantation owner, but he was probably born into that, flipped, realized this ain't good shit, came back, and then got killed for what he had done when he flipped. So I thought to myself, okay, I might be able to get down with this Brian Grimes guy. And if he owns a plantation, I'm thinking maybe there's some money somewhere that I could get some. So maybe 23andMe will let me know about that. Or maybe it's going to let me know some really negative stuff that I don't want to know. See, now I'm torn again. Maybe I'm just better off not knowing, right? No, I'm going to take it. I'm going to find out. I'm going to register, and then I'm going to spit, and then I'm going to discover. That's the plan, and I'll let you guys know what I find out. Make sure you check us out Friday. We'll do it on my Instagram at the Brian Grimes with the wife, Jen Grimes. She'll be rolling with me for talking to myself. Make sure you check out the websites, thebriangrimes.com. Not that I've updated it because I haven't, because I'm lazy. All my social media at the Brian Grimes. And of course, while the show's on hiatus and you need a little fix, you can binge listen to Talking to Myself anywhere you find your podcasts. That would be Spotify, that would be Apple Podcasts, or of course, anywhere you go on the iHeartRadio app. We'll talk to you guys Friday.